This episode is brought to you by Netflix. 3 couples, 4 vacations, a lot to unpack. Watch The 4 Seasons, a new series starring comedy favorites Tina Fey, Steve Carell, Will Forte, Coleman Domingo, and more in a hilarious and heartfelt love letter to long-term relationships. Based on the original Alan Alda film. Watch The 4 Seasons, May 1st, only on Netflix.
Joining me now is Dr. Robert Epstein, literally one of the most brilliant men I have ever had the honor of listening to. I've listened to his interviews now for well over a year. He is a senior research psychologist at the American Institute for Behavioral Research and Technology. He's the former editor-in-chief of Psychology Today magazine. He has a PhD from Harvard University, and Dr. Epstein is a pioneer in the study of new forms of manipulation that have been made by the internet. I speak of information manipulation. He's testified before the Congress because of his expertise in this area, and it is his belief that the flow of information is being manipulated by big tech companies, particularly Google, but not exclusively Google, to manipulate elections, children, and attitudes among adults around the world. He is an amazing speaker, and I really believe this is one of my greatest concerns about the upcoming election. It is Dr. Epstein's belief that in the 2024 election, Google could conceivably be in a position to shift between 6.4 and 25.5 million votes without the people's awareness. Dr. Epstein, thank you for joining us on the Roger Stone Show.
It's my pleasure. Nice to be back.
I listened to our last interview, and I'm still extraordinarily impressed at the incredible work that you are doing. You have a dashboard where people can actually see in real time what you're talking about. We'll repeat that a couple times, but let's lay this out. It's timely because, well, we have a federal court ruling now that says that Google has violated antitrust laws by operating as a monopoly when it comes to search. And of course, search is the centerpiece of how they manipulate data. But tell us more.
Well, sure. For about 12 years now, I've been doing 2 things. One is looking at new forms of influence that the internet has made possible. I've been discovering them, naming them, and quantifying them. That is, trying to figure out, okay, what can that type of influence do? How many votes could it shift, for example, in a national election? So that's one part of what I've been doing. We've made tremendous progress there, and the more we've learned about these new kinds of manipulations, the more concerned my team and I have become over the years. But the second thing I've been doing is, which is operating right this second, and it's something that we all desperately need, is I've developed ways of tracking, of surveilling these companies, just like they surveil us and our children and our grandchildren 24 hours a day, very aggressively. I have developed methods for surveilling them. So what you will see at America's, with an S, americasdigitalshield.com, americasdigitalshield.com, is you will see a public dashboard that is giving you a partial look at the massive amount of data that we are capturing. Yeah, we are capturing this from Google and Bing, Yahoo, Facebook, TikTok, and other companies. And as of a couple of days ago, I think we had preserved more than 96 million experiences that people have had online involving the kind of content that Google and other companies use to manipulate us and our kids and to manipulate our elections. And we're the first country in the world to have a system like this in place. We are literally gathering data from the computer screens of a politically balanced group of more than 15,000 registered voters in all 50 states. This is with their permission, of course. And we're also now gathering data from some of their children, that's, of course, with the parents' permission. So we're seeing the real content that these companies are sending to real voters and real children, and we're measuring it. We're looking at it very rapidly to see if there are any manipulations occurring, see if there's any political bias. And if you scroll down that page on americasdigitalshield.com, you'll see a bunch of graphs and some blue lines and some blue shading. And wherever you see blue, that means there is liberal bias in their content. And we're not, this is not anecdotal data. This is serious data. This is scientifically valid data that is court admissible. So in other words, we're doing something that's never been done before. We are capturing incriminating data for which these companies can be very seriously punished. And because we're public with what we're doing, we're trying to determine whether or not Google and other companies are backing down. We have gotten them to back down in the past. The question is, can we get them to back down on this election? And this is critically important. It's critically important that monitoring systems like this be set up, because that is how you make these companies accountable to the public. With no such system in place, you have no idea what they're doing, and they're not accountable to us at all.
Yeah, I want to stress that Dr. Epstein is not a Republican. He's not a conservative. He's not really political. He's an academic and a scientist, I guess you would say. And what he's found is quite extraordinary. Dr. Epstein, how does the court's ruling on Google's payments to smartphone manufacturers to make their search engine its default engine align with your previous research on Google's election interference tactics?
Well, this court's ruling, which is the first of its kind in the United States, is very important, because what it does is it declares Google to be a monopoly. And that means that antitrust laws come into play, and it means that some actions could be taken to restrict their activity. Now, this court ruling also reminds us about what's so dangerous about the data that we're collecting. It reminds us that they are a monopoly. I mean, that's now an official court ruling. It's not just a rumor. It's official. And what that means is that when they are manipulating an election, which they are right now, and I can give you some examples of how they're doing it, when they're manipulating an election, it means no one can counteract what they're doing, because they're a monopoly. They control 92% of search in the United States. The next most popular search engine controls about 2% of search. So in other words, excuse me, they're the gateway to knowledge around the world. They're the gateway to knowledge. It's where people go to get answers to questions, including people who are undecided in an election. And those are the people who end up determining who wins. And those are the people that Google can identify very easily, and that Google is manipulating right now, 24 hours a day. And I can, if you like, I can give you some examples of how they're doing it.
Please do so. We got about 6 minutes before the break, and then we're going to come back on the other side of the break and talk to you some more. So, sure, proceed. Absolutely.
Okay, so remember, right now we are monitoring in real time. We're monitoring content that they're sending to the computers of a politically balanced group of more than 15,000 registered voters in all 50 states. And we're collecting this in real time. That dashboard, that online dashboard that I mentioned, is updated every 5 minutes. Here are some of the things we're learning from the data. Number one, right this second, Google is sending register to vote reminders to Democrats, and I happen to lean in that direction myself, but they're sending registered to vote reminders to Democrats at about 2.5 times the rate that they're sending those reminders to Republicans. Now, think about how big a manipulation that is, because over time that turns into partisan mail-in-your-ballot reminders, which made a huge difference in 2020. And eventually that turns into partisan go-vote reminders. Those kinds of targeted messages on Google's homepage, which we're now capturing. And remember, that information is normally lost forever. It's normally not preserved and leaves no paper trail, but we're capturing it. We're preserving it for the courts and for our authorities. And that is just one example. I'll give you some other examples here. Number one, we were asked by Ken Paxton's office. Now, Ken Paxton is the AG of Texas, which is the largest attorney general's office in the country. He has about 800 attorneys working for him. And that office has been the most aggressive legal entity in the country fighting Google. So they've organized, I think, 49 or 50 other AGs around the country and have also filed an antitrust lawsuit against Google. So Google hates this guy. They hate Ken Paxton. Well, we just checked this growing database of ours, and we find that Google, when anyone looks up Ken Paxton on Google, they are getting extremely biased content, basically identifying him as a bad guy. Now, again, they control what information people see, and they're sending that negative information about Ken Paxton not just to liberals, but to moderates and to conservatives. They're sending that negative information about Google 24 hours a day to everybody, no matter what their political persuasion. Now, are they always attacking the people who attack them? Remember, Paxton is a conservative, but they're attacking, or they tend to attack conservatives. But another thing we've just discovered is they don't always attack conservatives. If they don't like a liberal, they'll attack a liberal too. So we have a brand new example we just found. That is Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts is running for re-election, and she has also spoken out against Google. She's a Democrat, and Google is attacking her. So anyone who looks up Elizabeth Warren online is getting attack stories from conservative news outlets, and it's Google is sending people to that information. They want to put her out of office. That's how much they dislike her. So in other words, they're not only basically rigging the presidential election on a massive scale, they also will take out individuals as it pleases them. And generally speaking, there are no laws or regulations in place to stop them.
Yeah, I've experienced this myself. If you have to go 20 pages in before you'll find the official Robert Mueller's fully unredacted final report, in which even he admits that he found no evidence of Russian collusion, WikiLeaks collaboration, or any other crime. Buried. Virtually impossible. In fact, people constantly write Roger Stone's sentence was commuted. That's because Google suppresses the fact that I actually got a full and complete and unconditional presidential pardon. And then last week, we saw graphically how if you looked up assassination attempt on Trump, nothing came up at all. You could find all about the assassination attempt on President Harry Truman by Puerto Rican nationalists, but nothing about Donald Trump. Perfect example of the kind of manipulation that we see going on. If you gave a contribution to my legal defense fund and I put you on my list in your white mail and I sent you a thank you, well, it's going to go to your spam. If you send me another contribution, it's going to go to my spam, even though you're approved. You should be going right to my mailbox. Yet another great example of their manipulation. Folks, if you're just tuning in, this is the Roger Stone Show at 77 WABC Radio. We'll be right back with Dr. Robert Epstein. And remember, we're going to be taking your calls at 800-848-9222. So we'll be right back.
Parents of twins, if you're familiar with far-off drop-offs...
Dad, stop, right here.
Or get DMs about what's for dinner, you may be experiencing tween milestones. For your son or daughter, these can start at age 9. HPV vaccination, a type of cancer prevention against certain HPV-related cancers, can start then too.
For most, HPV clears on its own. But for those who don't clear the virus, it can cause certain cancers later in life.
Embrace this phase. Help protect them in the next.
Ask their doctor today about HPV vaccination. Brought to you by Merck.
Running a business comes with a lot of what-ifs. But luckily, there's a simple answer to them. Shopify. It's the commerce platform behind millions of businesses, including Thrive Cosmetics and Momofuku. And it'll help you with everything you need. From website design and marketing to boosting sales and expanding operations, Shopify can get the job done and make your dream a reality. Turn those what-ifs into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
Holiday presents, in the red corner, the undisputed, undefeated Weed Whacker Guy. Champion of hurling grass and pollen everywhere. And in the blue corner, the challenger, extra strength Holiday. Eye drops that work all day to prevent the release of histamines that cause itchy allergy eyes. And the winner, by knockout, is Holiday. Holiday, bring it on.
Home means something different to everyone. But with Rocket Mortgage, home can mean even more. It can mean a college education, taming your high-interest debt, even a renovation. We've made it easier than ever to use your home equity. That home you worked so hard for, now it can work hard for you. Call 800-4ROCKET or visit rocket.com to find out more.
Rocket Mortgage, LLC, licensed in all 50 states. NMLSconsumeraccess.org, number 3030.
Welcome back, folks. Let me remind you, wherever you are on the face of the earth, you can be listening to the show at WABCRadio.com. We're live streaming in 173 countries around the globe, so there's never an excuse to miss any of the great talk or entertainment programming here at the most powerful, influential AM radio station in America, 77 WABC. So proud to be part of the 77 WABC family. We're still talking to Dr. Robert Epstein, who has been studying manipulation of data on the internet by Google and as well as other major silicon giants. What he's found is shocking. We are going to get to your calls here momentarily. That number, 800-848-9222, 800-848-9222. For those who are waiting patiently, we will get to you. We appreciate your calling in. Let's go back to Dr. Epstein. Dr. Epstein, let me ask you this. You have focused and have a huge amount of data on Google. You're tracking what Google's doing every day, every hour in real time. What about companies such as Facebook or Instagram or X, formerly known as Twitter? Have you looked at the potential or the possibility of manipulation on those platforms?
Absolutely. In fact, we're tracking all of them at this point, including TikTok. We're looking especially for things like partisan go vote reminders, because those are very, very powerful. So, yeah, we're tracking them all. Now, on the dashboard, we're not listing, all of our findings. We're just giving people a sample. But I'm glad you mentioned a few minutes ago, that a couple of weeks ago, there was national news about the fact that if you tried to look up a Trump assassination attempt, at least on Google, that was getting buried as if there was no such assassination attempt. Now, that's a perfect example of how they control the information we see, and that's how they also control how a lot of people think. Now, I have to explain here, though, that what we're doing is different and better, because if you go into court with a screenshot showing that nothing turns up when you look up Trump assassination, or that you get some other information back. They take you to Coolidge assassination or something like that. That is not court admissible. That's considered an anecdote or anecdotal data. What we're doing is collecting these examples 24 hours a day by the millions. And so what we're doing has never been done before. We're actually surveilling these companies just like they surveil us, and we're creating a massive database which one can dip into and look backwards in time, or one can adjust what it is we're searching for to customize searches moving forward in time. So we're working with state officials, local officials, members of Congress, and public interest groups, such as Cleta Mitchell's group in Washington, D.C., which is concerned with election integrity. We're working with lots and lots of authorities to try to figure out now, moving forward, how we can use this massive new database to really stop Google and other companies from interfering in our elections, undermining our democracy, and indoctrinating our children. You can't do it without the evidence, and that's what this system is all about. And again, if people want to take a look at it, or if they want to help sponsor one of our field agents, those are the people whose computers we use to collect the data, they can go to America's, with an S, americasdigitalshield.com. That's americasdigitalshield.com. And we're always grateful for any support we can get to build this system larger and larger.
Yeah, I think it's important for people to understand this is not a profit-making venture. This is so your donations are, in fact, deeply appreciated and necessary because the seminal work that you're doing in this area. So let me ask you, Dr. Epstein, what would your advice be to average voters and politicians as to what needs to be done to ensure the integrity of our elections in the face of the influence by Google, Facebook, and many others?
Well, I've written about that issue very extensively, and what I want to do, just because I know we have limited time, I just want to focus on one aspect of this, which will help your listeners perhaps quite a bit. I want people to go to my website, which is called myprivacytips.com, myprivacytips.com. And that'll take you to an article that I wrote and I do update from time to time, which begins with the following sentence. I have not received a targeted ad on my computer or mobile phone since 2014. So in other words, it is possible to protect your privacy and the privacy of your children online from this massive surveillance operation that Google runs, and it's possible to protect yourself from it. So if you go to myprivacytips.com, you'll see how I protect myself and my family. And that's, I think, where people should start. People should start by recognizing the extent to which they are being tracked and surveilled 24 hours a day, your locations, your purchases, your online searches, your email content. Every single thing you do is being tracked and analyzed. The information is being bought and sold. And it's that information that gives these companies tremendous power to manipulate you, to manipulate your kids. A lot of parents are just so confused about all the crazy things their kids are saying and doing these days. Well, all of that is being fed to them through big tech companies, all of it. That's where it comes from. And I know because we're tracking that content now and we're preserving it and analyzing it. So protect your own privacy. Start there. Don't be just mindless about the way you use new technologies. New technologies are great in some ways, but they're also extremely dangerous. And remember this, the more these companies know about you and your children, the easier it is for them to manipulate you and your children. So we've got to protect ourselves, as we have to start there, and it can be done. That's at myprivacytips.com.
With these recent stories about the FBI first, and then the Trump campaign announcing that they have been hacked, that there would be hacking, and hacking now laid at the feet of the Iranians. Not sure about that, but it does show you how incredibly porous the internet is, and how easy it is for some of these large digital companies to steal your data. TikTok particularly, which of course became a flashpoint because of their connections to communist China. It is absolutely true. Interestingly enough, also, that now almost a third of voters are telling us in polling that they're no longer getting their information principally from network television or from the cable, like Fox and CNN, but a third of voters now saying they're getting their political information on their cell phones, in the ads, which, if you go on YouTube, first you're going to have to watch an ad before they'll allow you to do the search and see what you're seeking to find. A third of voters, disproportionately Republicans, by the way, now getting their information from online ads rather than the more traditional methods of communications to voters. And this has forced us, who are involved in political strategy, to completely rethink the way we try to communicate with voters. Anyway, we're out of time. I want to thank Dr. Robert Epstein, the senior research psychologist at the American Institute for Behavioral Research and Technology, also the founder of America's, that's with an S, AmericasDigitalShield.com. Go see in real time the amazing work that Dr. Epstein is doing. Dr. Epstein, thank you so much for joining us on The Roger Stone Show today.
Always a pleasure.
For more than 50 years, National University has been a military-friendly, yellow-ribbon school that understands the importance of honor and commitment. With 4- and 8-week classes available, year-round enrollment, and more than 190 programs to choose from, we help veterans just like you define the next chapter of their careers. Learn more at nu.edu. That's nu.edu.